Well, so many people are on fraud watch right now. Where you at? Where are you at? Gone quiet all of a sudden. So, after spoilers for chapter 103 dropped for the Dragon Ball Super manga, the Broly sexuals and the Gohan groupies are eating well right now. They are really eating well. They are feasting, in fact. The amount of copium that some of the Gokuists are smoking right now is absolutely incredible. But one of the main topics that have come up based on the showings in these spoilers is that what about the wish that Granolah and then subsequently Elec made for Gas to become the strongest in the universe? Shouldn't that mean they were stronger than Broly this whole time? Well, in this video, even though I have talked about this before, I'm going to tell you why it didn't include Broly in that wish. Now, there is a condition to this. It did include Broly in that wish. It just didn't include a certain version of Broly in that wish. So obviously in the spoilers, it is shown that when Gohan Beast got serious and went to his full power, he was able to essentially punch his way through Ultra Instinct Goku, a silver-haired Ultra Instinct Goku that has been training for circa 1 to 2 years since the Granolah arc. Is also in his silver-haired state, which is stronger than the true Ultra Instinct state, yet we see him get knocked out of that form against Beast Gohan. Now people are saying, oh well, he went straight into Ultra Instinct again afterwards. Doesn't really matter. Nobody was questioning it when we did it in training not that long ago. And then of course is the copium hypocrisy that Goku actually lands quite a few shots against Beast Gohan before he snaps and goes full power. And at no point is Gohan knocked out of his beast form. The fact is that Gohan's power, his raw power, reverted him back down to base. That is due to Gohan's power being far superior to Goku's in Ultra Instinct. In fact, the fact that he can land that blow on Ultra Instinct Goku, as we talked about before on this channel, likely implies that Gohan has the raw speed and power to keep up with Ultra Instinct Goku, who has mastery of self movements and the hacks that come with mastery of self movement in Ultra Instinct. So just like during the Tournament of Power, Jiren's raw power reserves would have had to have been higher than Ultra Instinct Goku's in order to keep up with him. Well, Gohan vastly outperformed that version of Jiren, doing way more damage against a much stronger version of Goku. And even though it's unquantifiable at the moment, a stronger version of Goku than what Black Frieza did it to in the Granolah arc. Like I said, circa nearly 2 years of training. The fact that he's using silver-haired Ultra Instinct, which is stronger than true Ultra Instinct. Remember, this is a sparring match. Knocking him out of his base and not really hurting him too much really is more like a knockdown rather than a knockout, if you want to put it that way. But Broly, when he turns Super Saiyan against Gohan Beast, matches Gohan Beast. Gohan Beast exclaims, "What power?" How many times have I tried to tell you guys that Broly's raw power reserves, his bank of raw power, is the strongest because the series, the franchise, keeps telling us. I don't know how many more times they have to tell us this before you stop Broly denying. It's fucking Broly's whole depiction is to be the strongest. Get over it. You don't have to like it, but get over it. So many people are on fraud watch, seriously. Now, the question is to whether the Broly movie Broly raw power reserves are similar to a current Broly raw power reserves, or if the current raw power reserves of Broly have vastly surpassed that of Broly movie. I'm on the fence and we'll go through that in just a moment. But the comments really are surrounding whether or not Broly was taken into account as part of the wish to become the strongest in the universe in the Granolah arc. Obviously Granolah made the wish first. Then Elec made the wish for Gas second. Now the wishes do seem to be slightly different. We directly heard Granolah make his wish, and we directly heard Torombo, the dragon of planet Cereal, state that he can make Granolah strongest except for the gods. Obviously this would have been Beerus and Whis. Obviously we know that Beerus has been compared to Broly in the past. We'll get back to that again very soon. Then of course Elec made his wish superseding Granolah's wish, so Gas became the strongest in the universe, even stronger than Granolah. Now there did seem to be a conditional difference between the two wishes. Granolah's wish did seem to be a very sedentary wish. It was just to become the strongest in the universe at that point, because he did eventually get surpassed. I know he did manage to once again resurpass Vegeta's ultra ego, but it's because he unlocked a new form whilst fighting. However, Gas seemed to be cursed. Whenever somebody became the strongest, he seemed to find a new way to become the strongest again, no matter what the circumstance and no matter what damage it did to his body. I mean, we don't even know what's happened to Granolah at this point. He could be dead for all we know, given how much time span he had left. But still, Gas did die in the end because he used up his bodily resources to essentially fuel his power. But it seemed he only had a certain amount of lifespan to use, and by the time Black Frieza turned up, he just had no more lifespan to go that far. So you could argue, depending on where you think Black Frieza lies against Gohan Beast and Super Saiyan Broly, that Gas may not have had enough lifespan to actually get to that raw level of power. But the whole Granolah arc was basically based on a competition to become the strongest in the universe. Obviously we had the statement surrounding the Broly movie that Broly's power matched Beerus's according to Goku. Obviously that's the Broly movie, there isn't an adaptation or a true adaptation in the manga, but they are from Toriyama's pen, Toriyama's vision, Toriyama's intent. It's all laid out in that movie. As I've often stated on this channel, Broly's power in that movie was essentially a special kid who had the strongest raw battle power, he just didn't know how to use it. As Frieza stated himself at the end of the movie, if Broly got control of his mind and control of that power, nobody could beat him, he would be the mightiest combatant. I would argue there's a complete Cell Max that would be able to do that, but Cell Max came later, of course. Now, people don't like the idea of a Broly movie Broly being the strongest and would prefer it if it was basically just a current Broly. Now, both can be true, and I will explain how in just a moment, but ultimately, when it came to the wish between Gas and Granolah, and the reason why Broly wouldn't have necessarily been taken into account during that wish is because Broly could not go Super Saiyan. Now, people denied this for ages, were literally calling me all sorts of names for even suggesting it, but I based this and cross-referenced all of the resources from the history of the series and guidebooks to come to that conclusion that it was very plausible that Broly wouldn't be able to tap into Super Saiyan at will after losing it after the Broly movie. Now, Goku and Vegeta, with their Ultra forms or even their Super Saiyan Blue forms, are stronger than base Broly. So, Gas and Granolah becoming stronger than those forms obviously would be stronger than Broly, because at that particular point in time Broly could only tap into his base form. Of course it's a very strong base form, but without being able to go Super Saiyan, the dragon would have taken it into account that at that moment in time, that very specific point in time, Broly was not as strong as Goku and Vegeta because he couldn't access Super Saiyan. But the Broly from the Broly movie, which was irrelevant in that wish, would have been stronger than them in their blue forms and likely their ultra forms. And guys, there's a whole passage in the Granolah arc when Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta is fighting against Granolah. He literally states this. He tells you this. Toyotaro tells you this. Why are we ignoring the story? The scan is on your screen right now. Be sure to read it. And in fact, I'm going to read it out for you in case you're still denying. Vegeta states, strongest, second strongest. Rankings are well and good, but they only reflect a moment in time. Once that moment has passed, it's nothing but history. At this point, the Broly movie was nothing but history. However, at this point in time, when they're fighting, and Granola's just made the wish to be the strongest in the universe, and subsequently Gas's wish, Broly can only access his base form. He's not even in the conversation to be the strongest in the universe at that point. However, here's the kicker. If in that moment, Broly turns Super Saiyan for whatever reason, even if it was an uncontrolled Super Saiyan, even if it was a controlled Super Saiyan like he has now in chapter 103, that multiplier of his base power would have escalated him beyond Granolah, beyond Gas and the Ultra forms. Whether it escalates him beyond Black Frieza, I think that's a conversation that needs to be had, and it's definitely up in the air. But Vegeta Goku, with his Ultra Instinct, Ultra Ego, Granolah and Gas, surpassed easily. I have no qualms at saying that. As we saw in chapter 101 when Broly sparred against Vegeta, Broly's base form was able to go toe to toe with Super Saiyan Vegeta. So Broly's base form is at least 50 times stronger than Vegeta's base form. But we know from the Broly movie events, should they translate directly into the Dragon Ball Super manga, that base Broly was actually able to overwhelm a Super Saiyan Vegeta, and Vegeta turned Super Saiyan God because he was starting to get overwhelmed. What this suggests is, in the time since the Broly movie, base to base in base comparison, that Goku and Vegeta have closed the gap on Broly, not the other way around. Meaning that Broly's Super Saiyan power surpassing Ultra level power should have been less likely since the Broly movie. Now it's arguable in chapter 103 because we know that base Broly fights off against Ultimate Gohan. Gohan's ultimate form is vastly stronger than again Goku and Vegeta's Super Saiyan forms? Does Broly increase his power whilst fighting against Ultimate Gohan? That's the question right now, and will be answered in the release of the full chapter. He only turns Super Saiyan and it looks like regular Super Saiyan. It doesn't look like his glazed over Super Saiyan form that Kale also had, that just keeps growing into power until they self-destruct. It's a controlled Super Saiyan form. However, what's also stated by Beerus is that Broly has only just attained Super Saiyan and Gohan has already learned how to control his Gohan Beast form, and that Gohan has more control over his Gohan Beast form than Broly does over his Super Saiyan form. So Broly has a controlled Super Saiyan, but he's not extremely efficient in it. One of the translations actually mentions efficiency, which we go back to the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie. That is a big direction all of this training is heading in now, when they talked about Jiren's efficiency in comparison to Goku and Vegeta in the Tournament of Power. Broly is not efficient at all. I tried to tell you this, but people denied it. Broly going Super Saiyan, considering his base is at least somewhat relevant to a Super Saiyan Vegeta, means that Broly from that point is getting at least 50 times stronger based on the Super Exciting Guide multiplier, and that allows him to not only surpass the God forms of Goku and Vegeta's power, but also the Ultra forms of Goku and Vegeta's power. Well, at least Goku's, because that's who we saw face off against Gohan Beast. And here's another kicker. This is potentially just a regular Super Saiyan Broly. That's not even considering that he may have the Ikari Super Saiyan stack that we saw in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. It's not even considering that when he goes into Super Saiyan full power, or as some people like to call it or prefer to call it, including myself, the legendary Super Saiyan form, that he actually just continuously grows in power. This might just be a stagnant level of power or stagnant multiplier that he receives in this particular chapter. Obviously, that's still up in the air. We'll find out. But you could then argue he doesn't have full access to all of the power yet that he showed in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, because he hasn't got the efficiency to use it at its absolute maximum, like Frieza suggested at the end of the movie. If he can do that, he'll be the mightiest combatant. Now, I think it is important to consider that both Frieza and Goku, when making the Beerus comparison too, may have been alluding to Broly using his full power with complete control. But as I keep saying, guys, with Broly, it's all about just a raw power reserve. His raw power reserve is enormous. He isn't a good fighter, and the Cell Max example that we've just had is the perfect way to demonstrate that you can have an enormous raw battle power, but if you don't know how to use that power, you can get hit and popped off on by vastly weaker characters than you. Krillin, Android 18, Goten and Trunks, the Gammas, Ultimate Gohan were all popping off on Cell Max. Even Orange Piccolo, even though that power gap was a lot closer, was landing on Cell Max. Of course, Cell Max was practically mindless. He'd just been born. It was essentially a baby. Whereas Broly does have some martial arts skills, but nowhere near to the degree of Goku, Piccolo, Vegeta, and even Gohan. Now, there is a scan where Gohan Beast actually tosses Super Saiyan Broly up into the air in this chapter, which once again proves something that I've said right. I did a tournament not too long ago where I said that if Broly and Gohan was to face off with each other, that Gohan would win. Now, I base this on a tournament type matchup, not a death battle. A death battle would probably end up differently. However, we see Gohan toss Broly up into the air. If that was a tournament type match, Broly would get tossed out the ring and Gohan would win. There you go, another W for me. So that's why Broly wasn't really considered during the Wish for Granolah and Gas. And of course, in that arc as well, there are the Whis comments replying to Goku and Vegeta asking, is there anybody stronger than them out in the universe? We said no, not specifically. Specifically means there's conditions, and that conditions for Broly could mean they know he cannot go Super Saiyan. They likely would have known that. And another character you can take into consideration for that particular wish, and another character who may have actually had more raw battle power than them at that time, but couldn't use it, was of course Oob. As we saw against Moro, he actually had more god power, and it didn't even tire him out afterwards when he lent that power, that it gave Goku back his Ultra Instinct, and he overpowered a planet Moro who had absorbed nearly all of Earth's energy, as well as energy from Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta, Ultra Instinct Goku. Planet Moro at that point had lost his mind because he got so strong in terms of raw battle power, but Oob's power actually overcame that. But he doesn't even know he has it, doesn't know how to use it. The dragon would have been able to take that into account, but obviously he can't use it, so that's just another piece of evidence that the dragon was taking into account that that certain people cannot use their raw battle power, so they was not the strongest warrior in the universe at the time. Goku and Vegeta was. It's honestly right in your face at this point. As we saw from the superhero movie, all the promotional material was all pointing to Broly being the strongest. It was literally stated that Broly is the strongest person that Goku's fought. Obviously you can say that's for the movie canonicity, but it all seems to be translating over to the manga as well. It is basically Broly's MO, his depiction, that his raw battle power is the highest. However, Goku and Vegeta are vastly better fighters, and that's why he's training with them, to get control of that power. And I think the crazy thing to all of this is, Beerus just keeps getting scarier. But with Broly, the Broly sexuals are divided. There's one half that believe it's Broly movie Broly's raw power reserves are what is the highest, and there's the other that believe it's just currently the current Broly that is the highest once he's turned Super Saiyan. Whereas I would advocate that it is possible they're both the same, but current Broly can access more of his power more reliably than what the Broly in the Broly movie could. If it is Broly movie Broly, it does require the slow power creep throughout the last few arcs and the last few years of the Dragon Ball Super timeline, but there is the argument out there that there's a faster creep, and I'm not 100% against that. But if I'm honest, I think the story really is starting to point to a slower power creep in their base forms for these characters. Anyway guys, I know you guys are going to have a lot to say down in the comment section. Do go and write them down. I do read all your comments, so do make sure you have your voices heard. Smash a like on the video or a dislike, doesn't matter to me. It's all about conversation, all about dialectic, all about opinion. Anyway, until next time, Ad Astra.